Hi, Gen X Jen here, and I'm going to speak on something that I've been wanting to speak about for several days, something that I really should have done sooner, but better late than never. To all of you who are still talking about Joe Biden's age and his tendency to misspeak sometimes, what are you thinking? Has RFK Jr.'s brainworms buddies infected your brains too? Come on, but seriously, I couldn't care less. Most people couldn't care less that Biden misspeaks sometimes. I misspeak sometimes. I'm 46, and if I was a well-known public figure who often spoke on camera, I'm sure there'd be many instances of me misspeaking that people could point to. Okay, we all misspeak sometimes. And so once again, as it is with many other things, a very vocal minority is making it seem like they're speaking for most people. That is absolutely not true. Most people, and I've seen this in the days and weeks since the debate, since a few people panicked and lost their heads, a lot of people are saying, we don't care about Joe Biden's gaffes, which, by the way, is nothing new for Biden. People have been rightly saying that Biden is the candidate that primary voters have chosen. And other people have been countering with, well, we didn't know this about Joe Biden then. Bullshit. Joe Biden has been well known for his gaffes since way back when he was Obama's VP, maybe even before then. This is nothing new, people. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that one thing we really loved about Obama is that he was an excellent speaker, an excellent orator. I had the privilege of seeing him speak just days before the 2008 election, and it was a great experience, one I will never forget. And I remember before he came out on stage, the crowd had gathered, and there were helicopters circling overhead. I'm sure they were security helicopters and news helicopters. That people were making jokes about Barack Obama dropping down from one of these choppers and doing a superhero landing on the stage. And what's funny is that people were really only half joking. I mean, I don't think any of us would have been all that surprised that the way we thought and felt about Obama, I don't think we would have been all that surprised if he had actually done something like that. You know what? We all, on some level, had granted him superhero status, while at the same time, also on some level, we also all knew that he was only human, but an awesome human. But yeah, so many people love to hear him speak. That's why he drew such huge crowds. And it was so nice to have a president who had that trait. But it's not necessary for the job. So and Joe Biden has shown that he can do the job. The Biden administration has been one of the most successful in the history of this country. They have done so much good, and there's so much more that they can do. Biden has shown for 3.5 years that he can do the job. He can do the job well, all while misspeaking sometimes. Like I said, who fucking cares? But then there was the debate, which I'm not sure was a good idea in the first place. It's never a good idea to give the lunatic dumpster fire a podium. And why not just let Biden do his job without making him debate a lunatic? But some people just started wringing their hands and saying, oh, it's over. There's no hope for Biden. We have to replace him with another candidate. And I'm like, are you crazy at this point? So some people have been saying that look at the recent elections in the UK and France and how quickly they did it, and they're saying we still have 4 months till the election. We can do it. And even if we did have 4 months, and I will circle back to that in a moment. Even if we did have that much time, why would we want to take that chance of possibly just really screwing everything up when so much is at stake, when democracy itself is at stake? I mean, one thing that I haven't heard anybody mention is how will that affect down ballot races, which are also very important. And also, why give Orange Julius an open door to potential legal challenges? He and his people would exploit every possible loophole they could find to challenge the election if there were to be like a last-minute replacement of the Democratic candidates. Why wouldn't they take advantage of that and make some legal claims? I mean, this could result in a disastrous situation that would be even worse than Bush v. Gore. And thanks to Mango Mussolini's appointment of some Supreme Court justices, he's got SCOTUS, the corrupt SCOTUS, in his corner. So, and speaking of SCOTUS, what they've done recently is granted power to the president, granted the power of a king to the U.S. president. So our current president, Joe Biden, now has that power. But is anybody panicking about that? Is anybody even talking about that? No. You know why? Because people trust Biden. We trust that he will not abuse that power. We trust that he will continue. We know that he is continuing to do his job as if the boundaries surrounding the office of POTUS, as if the checks and balances designed to keep democracy going weren't just stupidly eradicated by SCOTUS. And then there was the high-pressure press conference, which some were calling the big boy press conference, which was a ridiculous name. Who came up with that? But the press shoved cameras in Biden's face and demanded that he speak off the cuff and wow them. And some say he should be able to handle pressure like that, and maybe that's fair. And by the way, he did handle that pressure very well. He handled the tough questions with poise and grace. But why put that unnecessary additional pressure on him when he's got enough on his plate already? The pressures of doing his job and running for president in a very important election in which democracy is at stake. But back to what I was saying about how we don't have 4 months until the election. The Democratic National Convention and the official nomination of the presidential and VP candidates is next month. And absentee ballots have to be sent out in September. And election officials in every county and every state need time to prepare. So why would anybody even talk about making a last-minute change at this point? Why is everybody so fearful, just wringing their hands, instead of using that time and energy to do what needs to be done to help Biden get elected to a second term? So to those of you still panicking about Biden's age and his cognitive decline, or perhaps you're just sitting around listening to the out of touch talking heads on TV blabber on and on about it. I was, a few nights ago, I had one of the cable news channels on, and they were just going on and on about this for 20 or 30 minutes, and I was like, my God, there are other things going on. There was a major hurricane, and they didn't pause for a second to talk about that. I've been saying for a long time, and this has been true for a long time, that the 24-hour news channels, their major flaw is that they have to fill the 24 hours. So it just, there's so much nonsense, and until fairly recently, you know, some of those channels were still quite a bit better than others, but now they're all getting worse. I mean, there are still a few people I like to watch, but I mostly tune out. Well, the people I like to watch are not part of the mainstream media. These people stick to talking about what's really important. I'm tuning out the mainstream media these days, and I encourage you to do so as well. I mean, it's just full of talking heads who rely on flawed polling, and they think it puts their finger on the pulse of the American people, but it doesn't. I've never been polled. Who's responding to these polls? Have you been polled? Tell me in the comments. But anyway, they've just been pissing me off more and more lately. I mean, who even are these people, and why should we care what they think? But back to what I was saying, to those of you still in a panic about Biden and whether he can defeat Trump, and you're wringing your hands, I don't think he can do it. Stop sitting on those hands and take some action. If you're saying that, oh, I'm so worried that Biden can't defeat Trump. Well, you know what? You're right. He can't do it alone. We have to be, instead of wringing our hands and sitting on our hands and worrying about what's going to happen, we need to get out and talk to people. Whether it's in the physical presence of people or on social media, or do both. You know, we need to have Joe's back. Like he's had our back during his 50 years of faithful service to this country. We have to get out and do what we can. I know a lot of us don't have a lot of time, but we can all do what we can. You know, I saw something fairly recently, and I absolutely believe this to be true. It said that if every woman in this country who was eligible to vote got registered to vote and actually voted, we would have the power to determine every election. Now imagine if that was expanded to people in general. If everyone in this country who was eligible to vote registered to vote and actually voted, the fascists who want to destroy our country wouldn't have a fucking chance. And that's another thing. In addition to getting out and talking to people, we also got to get people registered to vote. And yet we can be out there talking about the Biden administration's record. Biden can win on his record alone. The Biden administration has been very successful. We need to be out there talking to people about all we can thank the Biden administration for. And you know, word of mouth is still a very powerful thing. I remember back when I was volunteering for the Obama campaign in 2008, I talked to quite a few people who weren't even sure what his name was. They had some interesting variations of his name, but nevertheless, they said, we are absolutely voting for him. Because people were out there talking to them about Obama's record and his ideas, and word got out, word spread. Like I said, word of mouth is still a very powerful thing. So that's what we need to be doing. we also need to be spreading the word about Project 2025. You know, a day or two ago, I heard someone talking about how her teen daughter and her friends who are not interested, don't pay attention to anything that's really important, but they have heard about Project 2025, and that's encouraging. But then I saw some statistics that show that there are still a whole lot of people who either haven't heard of it or don't know what's in it. So we got our work cut out for us there, but we can do it. We've done it before and we can do it again. And I saw something today that shocked me. Apparently there are some younger people, some Gen Zers, who actually think that the Biden administration is responsible for overturning Roe v. Wade. What? I mean, how can you be so ignorant? There's so much disinformation out there, so that's another thing we need to focus on is combating disinformation. And maybe I can understand some of you out there thinking this is just all too daunting. It just can't be done. There are those against us. Well, there's just too many of them. But that's an illusion. That's what they want us to think. There are more of us. So to those of you who still just want to sit around and whine instead of continuing the work that we need to be doing, I'm not going to say shut up and get in line, because that's very anti-democratic. But keep your heads in the game. Ignore the idiots in the stands shouting dumb shit. They don't know what they're talking about. Stay focused. We need you. Your country needs you. So now that you've heard what I have to say, what are you going to do about it? Well, before you go, be sure to give this a thumbs up. I would also really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. And I have some other channels I'd love to recommend to you. Politics Girl, probably some of you are probably already watching her, but if you're not, she's fantastic. And Yankee Farm Wife is another great channel to follow. They are among the people that are sticking to talking about the stuff that's really important, and talking about what we need to be doing, what actions we need to be taking, and what is just a waste of time, and what we need to stop doing. So if you're not already tuning into those channels, I highly recommend them. And thank you so much for watching me. I hope you come back to watch more of what I put on my channel. I hope to have add more stuff to my channel very soon, so stay tuned. Again, thank you for being here, and remember, we can do it. We just have to get out there and do it.